The battle is raging on, my friends. Oh boy, I'm gone for the weekend. I get sick, and what do we have? Democrats fleeing Texas to avoid doing their jobs, breaking quorum so that Texas cannot redistrict. Now, the argument they're making is that once every 10 years when they do the census, they then draw up new maps. This is mid-decade redistricting. It is extremely rare, if not unprecedented, and Donald Trump specifically called on Texas to do this because they saw Texas actually had an opportunity to redistrict, which would get rid of some pesky Democrats, perhaps that Jasmine woman, and it would also grant the Republicans 5 extra seats in the coming midterms. You know what the problem is for the Democrats? This is democracy. And when elections have consequences. When you lose an election, the people who win are able to run things the way they see fit. Now, Republicans have stated, Greg Abbott specifically, that there are people in this state who voted for Donald Trump who don't have an opportunity at true representation because of the way the state is districted. And so they're drawing it up for the new trends they've seen since 2024. Honestly, I don't care. They may say they're cheating. Trump is specifically trying to gerrymander, but look to where they flee. You know what? I'm going to say something I never thought I was going to say, my friends. This is going to shock many of you, but shout out to Stephen Colbert. I know it hurts to say almost, but Colbert actually confronted Governor Pritzker of Illinois on their ridiculous gerrymandered map. Being from that state myself, this one strikes at the core of the issue of gerrymandering. Illinois is so psychotic, and I know over the past week, people have been bringing this up quite a bit over the past several days, but I cannot wait to break down this map for you, the gerrymandering map of various states and how they rip us off and have my whole life in Illinois and then have the gall to say that Republicans have done something wrong in Texas. You win elections, you can play that game. And that's exactly what they're doing in Illinois. And now they're saying we have a retribution plan in various other blue states to do the same thing. The only problem, blue states are already heavily gerrymandered. And you can take a look at how the states are structured with or without gerrymandering in the first place in terms of representation. So by all means, say what you want to say. But when we take a look at a lot of these East Coast states and Midwest states, you've got no room to stand. Okay, the funny thing is they say, then we'll gerrymander. You already did. To be fair, when you look at the Gerrymandering Project, this university organization that shows the various states, Texas and Illinois aren't doing well as it is. They're considered to be bad gerrymanderers. But I am also going to defend gerrymandering too. I'm going to defend this practice. It's not always. Gerrymandering does refer to how they isolate districts and make these fake ones. But sometimes people look at the shape of a district and they assume it means something nefarious. Not always. Not always. Sometimes it's because we don't live in communist blockhousing grids. And there's reasons why we exclude certain portions from certain districts, which I'll get into. But let's break this down, my friends. Then later, we'll be joined by a rep from Texas to talk about exactly what's going on and whether or not the FBI should actually get involved. Because you got a Texas rep saying the FBI needs to go, grab these people, arrest them. Arrest warrants have already been issued. We'll see how this plays out. Smash that like button, my friends. Share the show with everyone you know. Shout out to Steven Crowder and the Mug Club. Welcome to your Rumble morning lineup. It is the noon hour. As we shift into the afternoon, you can follow me, your host, Tim Pool, on X and Instagram at Timcast. And before we get started, my friends, we got a great sponsor. Shout out to AmericanFinancing.net/Tim. My friends, what if you could delay your next 2 mortgage payments? That's right. Imagine putting those 2 payments in your pocket and finally getting a little breathing room. It's possible when you call American Financing today. If you're feeling stretched by everyday expenses, groceries, gas bills piling up, you're not alone. Most Americans are putting these expenses on credit cards, and there doesn't seem to be a way out. American Financing can show you how to use your home's equity to pay off that debt. You need to call American Financing today before you get to a point where you can't make those payments. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you restructure their loans and consolidate debt, all without upfront fees. And their customers are saving an average of $800 a month. That's like $10,000 raise for the year, right? It's fast, it's simple, and it could save your budget this summer. So call right now before it's too late. 866-890-7811. That's 866-890-7811, or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Tim. I also want to shout out The new uncancelable skateboards at boonieshq.com. This one's real important, ladies and gentlemen. You see this here skateboard? That symbol, the left calls an iron cross. It's literally not an iron cross. It is the independent skateboard logo, but they abandoned it so it no longer is. Several years ago, one of the most iconic brands in skateboarding abandoned their logo. One of the most iconic, I'll say it again, because they were called racist. As soon as they did, we made skateboards and we started selling them. And I have claimed this IP as they have abandoned it for Boonies, for Timcast, and we have had this featured on the show. You can buy the uncancelable board at boonieshq.com because they've walked away from it. Because they've said we're scared of the left and being called racist. I got no problem now claiming what is one of the most iconic symbols in skateboarding. By all means, run scared from the angry activists. I won't. We won't. Pick up your board at boonieshq.com today and let the left know we will not be intimidated and you can't call us racist to scare us into breaking our own culture. I won't stand for it. Let's talk about the news, my friends. We got this from Newsweek. Donald Trump issues FBI warning to fleeing Texas Democrats. President Trump said the FBI may have to get involved to locate Texas Democrats who fled the state to block redrawn U.S. House maps sought by the president. Trump made the remarks during a news conference on Tuesday after being asked about Republican Senator John Cornyn's request that the FBI helped find and arrest the Democrats. Newsweek has contacted the White House, the FBI, and a spokesperson for the Texas House Democrats for a comment via email sent outside regular business hours. They say why it matters. Dozens of Texas House Democrats left the state on August 3rd in a bid to stall the redrawn congressional maps that Trump wants before the 2026 midterm elections to bolster Republican chances of preserving its majority. Republicans hold an 88-62 majority in the Texas House of Representatives, and the Texas Constitution requires that at least 100 members be present to do business. With at least 51 Democrats absent, the House failed to reach a quorum for a vote on the new maps on Monday and again on Tuesday. Republicans have made numerous attempts to compel Democrats back to the state, including signing civil arrest warrants and mobilizing state troopers. Republican Governor Greg Abbott also ordered the Texas Rangers to investigate possible bribery charges related to how Democrats are paying for their quorum break, alleging anyone who financially helped them leave the state could be culpable. In a letter to Kash Patel, Cornyn urged the agency to take any appropriate steps to aid in Texas state law enforcement efforts to locate and arrest potential lawbreakers who have fled the state. He asked about Cornyn's request and whether he wants the FBI to locate and arrest the Democrats who left Texas. Trump told reporters, "Well, I think they've abandoned the state. Nobody has seen anything like it, even though they've done it twice before." Heck of a statement there, Donald Trump. No one's seen anything like it except for the other two times they've done it. And in a certain way, it almost looks like they've abandoned the state. It looks very bad. Yes, I agree. Let me just say this so we don't bury the lead. They have vacated their seats. That's it. Now, there's an argument that the governor may try and replace them. There's an AG decision that came from the last time they did this. I think it was like 2021. I'm going to say this, and I ain't playing any games. And I'm going to go on a limb and say I think most of you agree. Let me know. Comment below if you agree. The moment they stated their intention was to break quorum, they have vacated their seats, and their seats should be considered abandoned, and they should be filled by whatever measure appropriate by law. That is, temporary replacements by the governor, perhaps, if that's how it works, or emergency elections, if that's what it takes, perhaps. But they should do it immediately. The moment they left the state and said, we will not appear, you're done. You're cooked. You left. You have vacated your seat. I don't know by what argument they're going to try and make that this is not vacating their seat. Now, we can play again. The governor can keep calling special sessions to push this through, and he should. And I think if there's a certain point that you should easily be able to get a judge say, yeah, okay, there's nobody here to answer this call. If the governor calls a special session, you have to come. If you choose not to, you quit. Let me put it like this. What would you call it? Actually, we've had this happen here at Timcast. Someone just didn't show up anymore. It happens. A lot of people do that. And then after a certain amount of time, we say, look, I know that we do unlimited vacation. Like, we're super chill. It's just a company where if you don't want to be here, probably shouldn't be, right? At a certain point, we're like, they quit. We didn't fire them. They just stopped coming. And if you stop coming, you quit. Why is that any different? Now, I know they're going to play dirty games. They're going to play dirty games, Okay? In Texas, you're going to get these judges saying, no, it's a protest action. They did not quit. Play dirty games. We'll see what happens. But I got to tell you guys, the idea that Abbott would actually end up doing it, civil arrest warrants. Is this a joke? Civil arrest warrants. I don't think they're going to do anything to these Democrats. I don't think they're going to replace them. It's just, I can respect Donald Trump calling on Texas to redistrict. That's the use of power we expect to see. You won an election. You have the right to do it. Do it. And they're going to say, but it's not normal. I don't care what's normal. It's within the law, and we won an election. So do it. But I doubt they're actually going to do anything. They're going to moan, they're going to complain, and it ain't going to change. Now, we saw this a few days ago. Governor Greg Abbott ordered the arrest of delinquent Texas House Democrats. Yeah, it's a civil violation. They get arrested, they get brought back in, and that's the end of it. And then, they're free to keep doing it. So I really don't expect anything substantive to come from this, but we will see. We will see. One thing they're saying over Politico is that Democrats could be fined nearly $400,000 for fleeing the state. What does that even mean? What does a fine mean? Okay. Under Texas House rules, each lawmaker is fined $500 per day for missing official business. Are you kidding? They're going to disappear for 2 years? Is that what the argument is? 2 years will be gone? Up to $400,000? They say Texas Democrats stand to be fined nearly $400,000 for fleeing the state, or do they mean altogether? And should they stay away during potential successive legislative sessions this year, they face more than $3.2 million in penalties. Those figures, which Politico calculated based on the fewest lawmakers needed to break quorum, the anticipated length of their out-of-state trips, and the $500 per day fine they're incurring, reveal how much pain Democrats are willing to sustain in order to thwart Trump's push to remap Texas to create 5 more Republican seats. The funny thing about this is, and I know most of you probably know this, they're going to get rid of Jasmine Crockett's seat. Goodbye. And she ain't going to win again because it'll be a Republican-leaning district. Under Texas House rules, each lawmaker is fined $500 per day for missing official business without permission. To break quorum, at least 51 Democrats must be absent. They'll be charged a combined $25,500 per day. On Monday, 57 Democrats skipped session, bringing the penalties to $28,500, although it was unclear how many absences were due to the gerrymandering protest. Should Democrats refuse to return for the length of the entire special legislative session, which will end on August 19th, they could rack up fines totaling at least $382,000. And if Republican Governor Greg Abbott chooses to call additional special sessions, which he can, and Democrats choose to stay out of the state, it could exceed upwards of $3.2 million, which means nothing, as it will be underwritten by powerful millionaires and billionaires. To be fair, the Democrats are very, very unpopular right now. Republicans, also unpopular, are substantially more popular, which is kind of funny. But the fleeing lawmakers said they were not deterred by the fines, nor by Abbott's threats to arrest them or vacate their offices. I'm not playing this game. You vacated your own office when you left. Where does it say you're allowed to intentionally break quorum? The rule about breaking quorum is to prevent a minority from pushing through bad policy in the event people can't come. So if they say, we're going to call everybody here, but we don't have a quorum, so we're not going to do it, that's like for emergencies. But what happens when they say, oh, okay, we'll exploit the law so that you can't actually function as a government for which you've won an election? Yeah, that's not the intention of the quorum rule. And everybody knows it. They're just exploiting our goodwill once again. Elections have consequences. Now, my friends, it is hard for me to say this. It is very difficult. It almost brings me physical pain to say, shout out to Stephen Colbert. I'm kidding, by the way. Shout out to Stephen Colbert, legitimately and literally. He confronted the Illinois governor on his crazy gerrymandered state. Many of these Texas Democrats who fled went to Illinois, where the governor made a statement about how if they're going to play dirty, then we're going to play dirty. Yeah, nice try, dude. Nobody plays dirtier than you. It is a mob-run, corrupt state where governors have gone to prison back to back to back. Dude, when I was a teenager, we had 3 governors in prison because they're crooked. Or, maybe not. Maybe they're in prison because the state is run by a corrupt cabal. And if whatever happened, the governors weren't playing ball right, you get locked up. That's the way it works. It was a tradition. Governors in Illinois go to prison because they're all scumbag, corrupt Well, I'll refrain from the insults. But let me play this clip for you, which I got to say, I'm kind of impressed.
You're hosting Texas Democratic lawmakers who fled their state after Republicans tried to redraw their congressional maps between the censuses. This is just a pure power grab here. How did this come about? And what do you know about how this came about? And why did they come to Illinois?
Well, Donald Trump's trying to steal 5 seats from the people, frankly, of the country.
Let's pause real quick. Steal. Listen, you broke quorum. It is an exploitation. Nobody voted for that. However, the rules clearly outline that they can do this, they can redistrict when they want, and that people vote for this. That is not a theft. The argument actually is you are trying to steal 5 seats from the Republicans by fleeing and illicitly breaking quorum, which was never intended to be the case. You are taking an action for which you have had civil arrest warrants issued, and Donald Trump simply said, you won the election, do this thing. Now, you can argue it's dishonorable. This is not how we do politics in this country. Once a year, we redistrict. But spare me on your theft BS.
Just the people of Texas and disenfranchised people. We're talking about, violating the Voting Rights Act and the Constitution.
How?
So the great heroes of the Texas House Democratic Caucus decided the only thing they could do in order to stop it was leave Texas. And where did they decide to come to? The safe haven of the state of Illinois, where we're going to protect them and take care of them. I'm very proud of them.
There's a reason why I left Illinois.
I mean, yeah, sure. What do you have? I'm not going to ask you where you have them stashed, but I assume you have them stashed around town, around Chicago.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. We keep them, the same place that Bush's VP was in,
Yes. So what happens now? A lot of governors out there are saying, well, they're going to increase the gerrymander of their states in order to counter what Texas has done. California has already said what they're going to do. They're going to put a plan in place that'll wipe out half a dozen Republican seats, but it'll only be triggered if Texas goes through with their plan. It's it's kind of like a dead man switch or something like that. Can Illinois do something like that?
It's possible, and I've said everything's on the.
I'm going to pause real quick. And again, shout out to Colbert. They can't do that. Wait till you see them. I know many of you have seen the map, but I'm going to break it down for you because I've gone a little bit into this.
The table. I mean, we got to fight fire with fire. They've frankly tossed the rule book out, and they're just acting in an unconstitutional fashion. And what we're going to have to do is whatever it takes to preserve democracy.
So let me just try this again real quick. When Republicans win the election in Texas and under the law decide to hold a session that will redistrict, which is all legal, constitutional, and is completely abiding by the law and the nature of democracy, and then you break quorum, exploiting the rules to stop the duly elected government from carrying out the whims of their voters, I would argue that you are the one who's broken democracy, but sure, words.
If you are, if you're considering doing a little more redrawing in Illinois, you already have some crazy districts in Illinois. Take a look at this.
Look at this.
Look at 17 here. It does that. Then it comes up here and it sneaks around there and goes all the way up here and then goes right over there like that. And look at this one, kind of goes whoop up there. It's like the stinger on a scorpion down here. Is this common for all states to do?
Well, we handed it over to a kindergarten class and let them decide.
Okay, and that's the nonpartisan group that does this
Absolutely.
For you guys?
That's our independent commission, That is, look.
So because all states, to a certain extent, do this, why is what Texas doing particularly egregious in this case?
Well, here, every 10 years we do a census in this country, and right after the census, we redraw districts in every state. But what the Republicans are trying to do, and the Texas Republicans, frankly, at the behest of Donald Trump, are doing it mid-decade.
So what?
That is extraordinarily rare.
That's an important point, because I think he literally called them or wrote them and said, hey, I need 5 seats. Go redraw.
Yep.
And the way they're doing it is taking voting rights away from black and brown people. They're literally obliterating districts that were written according to the Voting Rights Act. So this is going to end up in court if they actually are able to do it.
Please. I love this statement they've kept putting out where they're like, he's going to eliminate majority-minority districts. Wait, what? Majority-minority? What? Yeah, they don't know what to say when it's not a white majority. Majority-minority. As if all races except for white are one race. It's a ridiculous statement. Let's play ball, baby. You want to talk about gerrymandering? I give you the Gerrymander Project from Princeton EDU. Now, to be fair, Princeton, take it for what you will. They give states scores based on their gerrymandering. They say if it's green, it's good. If it's yellow, it's better than average, but it's biased. C is average. And if it's red, it's bad. And then there's insufficient data on Alaska and Hawaii. I don't know. Could it be that Alaska has one district? Like, come on. And so does North Dakota. Partisan advantage, none. Take a look at Illinois. Illinois and Texas are both considered to be bad. But Texas in the House gets a C. And Illinois in the House gets a, I'm sorry, congressional score is actually an F. Because their Senate, I don't know, that's ridiculous. But let's just do this. Let's pull up the congressional map for Illinois. Oh boy, how fun. Take a look at this district, 15. 15, as Colbert shows, wraps around. I can't say that stupid thing's in the way. And look how it wraps around. Are you kidding me? District 13? Someone said it's not a district, it's a road trip. That's true. And guess what? That weird, oddly shaped district is Democrat. Now, here's what I really love about the corruption of Illinois. I've got this from Politico. This is the 2024 election breakdown for Illinois, with Kamala Harris winning 54.8% to Donald Trump's 43.8%. Okay, to be fair, it's a Democrat state, and it always has been by the hard numbers. Fine. Take a look at these jurisdictions. Hey, wait a minute. Remember that weirdly shaped stretch of this District 13, which goes from St. Louis to Urbana? Take a look at this. St. Louis to Urbana. Hey, it runs two big cities through a stretch of rural area for the purpose of creating a fake Democrat majority. Illinois. Now let's just do some math. You want to be fair? That's what I love about the Princeton thing, saying in the House it gets a B, actually. Their overall grade's an F. All right, fine. They get an overall F. Let me tell you, my friends, let's just do this math. If it is 54% Democrat and 43% Republican, and there are 17 seats, what math could we be looking at? Would, say, 10 Democrat seats to 7 Republican sound fair to you? Yeah, probably. I mean, it's 54 to 43, so the Democrats do have a slight edge in the majority. Maybe we could say, 9 to 8. 10 to 7 seems fine. I'll give a little bit of weight to the Democrats. Hey, let's pull it up. Our good buddy ChatGPT's got the count for us. Here are the current 17 U.S. House congressional districts in Illinois, along with their incumbent representatives and party affiliation, based on the delegation as of the 119th Congress, sworn in 2025. So 17. How many of them do you think are Republicans? Would you guess 7? You'd be wrong. It's 3. 3. In a state that is 43%. We can round up and say 54% Democrat, 44% Republican. Almost half. I got no problem giving Democrats a slight edge by saying 10 to 7. But in a state that is nearly 50-50, they've drawn it up in such a way to give Republicans only 3 seats. You want to play a game? You cannot play that game, Pritzker. You cannot gerrymander beyond this. That is the extent to which they've been able to effectively rip off this country already with their gerrymandering. So when you come to me and say, but Texas is bad, I say, I don't care. They get an overall grade of an F from Princeton as well. I literally don't care. This is the name of the game. Elections have consequences. Okay? Take a look at beautiful West Virginia. These at-large states, there's no partisan advantage because West Virginia is like 80% Republican. And, to be fair, West Virginia's not at-large. They have 3 seats. But look at that. None. Partisan advantage, none. That's impressive for West Virginia. Look at that. West Virginia, best Virginia. California is graded at a B, congressional overall grade of a B. Now, California wants to play dirty, and they're going to carve the state up to eliminate, what did they say, 12 Republican districts? That means they're mostly going to eliminate the districts in L.A., which lean to the right. I really doubt they're going to get rid of like the Tulare County stuff, or I don't know, what is that, Bakersfield's blue. To be fair, I don't even trust Princeton on this one. Let's zoom in on the surrounding LA area. They could absolutely gerrymander to eliminate these districts, which you've got District 45. But eliminating 12, do they even have that many congressional seats that are Republican? Because I got to be honest, looks like they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But they set up upwards of 12. Let's do quick math on this one. How many Republicans in CA Congress, CA Federal Congress? They probably got a bunch because they have, what, 50 some odd seats? So they probably do. So there's 12. In California, the U.S. House of Representatives currently has 12 Republican members. So they're saying they would just quite literally eliminate all Republicans from the state. Bro, play that game. Come on. I don't care. Play that game. It is stupid and it is silly. And that's what they're saying they're going to do. Democrats have drawn up plans to retaliate if Republicans gerrymander Texas, but they face legal hurdles. By all means, let it come down to the courts, whatever. They're basically saying they're going to try and rip the system off the same as, Republicans. But I'm going to say this. Let's play ball. I would argue Donald Trump should right now eliminate non-citizens from the census through executive order, whatever he's got to do, right when they try to do this, and then challenge it in court to void their redistricting based upon that fact. Because if they want to play ball, we can play ball today. The census is every 10 years. And don't give me, you know what I can't stand more than anything? When people say things, but Tim, they can't do that because the courts... No, you can do whatever you want. We are human beings. We're not robots, okay? Trump can do things. Democrats can do things. They do it now. You can't break quorum. They did. They've had war instituted for the rest. So what? Nothing's going to change. Obama can't go after Trump and accuse him of treason. He did. Will there be consequences? Most people don't think so. The reality is willpower is what matters. And all that it takes is that Republicans decide to actually exercise their power. Democrats have been playing fast and loose and dirty forever, the same as Republicans. Don't get me started on Republicans. I don't like them either. The point is right now, when they're trying to play this game of Republicans are doing something unprecedented and wrong, it's like, bro, we all looked at Illinois, okay? I grew up there. Spare me your lies where you create a fake district to disenfranchise rural conservative voters so you can connect St. Louis with Urbana. And then say, well, now it's a Democrat district. Yeah, because you connected two cities that otherwise would not have made a Democrat district. Spare me your lies. But you know what? Let me stress, my friends, far be it from me to tell Texas how to do what Texas needs to do. So we're going to be joined by a rep from the Texas House of Representatives. I believe we have lined up Briscoe Kane. Let me just double check to make sure with the crew. Briscoe Kane will be joining us. That's going to be at 4 p.m. at youtube.com/Timcast or rumble.com/Timpool. And you don't want to miss it because they're going to tell me what for. Far be it from me to tell Texas how to live their lives, right? I live in West Virginia, best Virginia, and we don't have these problems for the most part. So, my friends, smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know if you do like it. You can follow me, of course, on X and Instagram at Timcast. This next segment will be coming up. But other than that, we'll see you at 8 p.m. for Timcast IRL. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all in the next segment.